He has zero interest in women. Yet, he spends all his savings on a prostitute. Then, he pulls out a giant jar of lard. He orders her to strip and lie on the bed. He coats her hands in the thick grease and wraps them tightly in gauze. She thinks it's just some sick fetish. Until the next second, he brandishes a sharp scraper. She jumps up in pure terror. He claims it's just to scrape off the grease. But she's not buying it. She calls him a psycho and prepares to storm out. Seeing she won't cooperate, his murderous intent is triggered. He shaves every inch of hair from her body, smothers her entire corpse in lard, and wraps her like a mummy in gauze. After hours of fermentation, he scrapes every bit of grease back, dilutes it with alcohol, pours the mixture into a distilling flask, and slow roasts it over a flame. Now, he just needs to wait. The essence of human scent is extracted. Collecting the scent of 13 different girls will create the world's ultimate perfume. Just a single drop can bring everyone for miles to their knees. To achieve this goal, he strips girls and soaks them in oil. Even after he's done with them, the bodies are discarded naked. Despite being such a pervert, audiences claim he's a perfect blend of genius and maniac. This film will take you into this madman's life. Every scene is mind-blowing. The best-smelling man in history was born in the foolest place in Europe. His mother was a poor fishmonger, working daily in the stinking fish market. She couldn't rest even while pregnant. Suddenly, sharp labor pains hit her. She collapsed onto the ground, ready to give birth amidst rotting fish. After a brief struggle, she gave birth to a baby boy. She cut the umbilical cord herself, then kicked the child aside. She was so skilled at this, because this was her 5th baby. The first 4 were handled the same way, since they were all stillborn. She kicked this one away without looking, but this infant survived. The baby's cry drew a crowd, and sealed his mother's fate. She tried to kill her baby. Grenouille's first cry at birth sent his own mother to the gallows. But it was no coincidence. Grenouille was born with a curse. Anyone who abandons him ends up dead and buried. He was taken in by a local orphanage, but it was no sanctuary. The headmistress only wanted the subsidy. The conditions were horrific. 50 kids crammed into one room. The staff loathed the children. She dropped him off and left. The other kids were curious. A boy reached out to see if he was alive. He poked a finger toward the baby. Suddenly, Grenouille grabbed his finger and began sniffing it intensely. He was born hypersensitive to scents. The kids were spooked. They wanted to throw him out, but feared his cries would expose them, so they decided to smother him. Sensing danger, Grenouille burst into tears. As expected, the cries alerted the headmistress. Just as he was about to die, she arrived and stopped them. Grenouille's life was spared. The boys were beaten for it, not out of kindness, but because a living Grenouille meant a continuous subsidy check and a body to sell for profit later. 5 years passed. At age 5, he still couldn't speak, but his olfactory gift was blossoming. Even from simple twigs and leaves, he could detect unique aromas. While lost in his sensory world, an apple was thrown at him. Grenouille dodged it with ease. He had smelled the danger. The kids didn't just exclude him. He was just too bizarre, obsessed with sniffing everything. Fragrant or foul, didn't matter. He'd even sniff a dead rat. Who could stand that? By age 13, he finally learned to talk, but he realized words could never describe scent. He could smell everything in nature, even frogs spawning underwater. The wheels of the curse began to turn. Now that he had labor value, the headmistress took him to a tannery, a filthy, hellish workplace. She wanted $10 for him. The owner inspected him and only offered $7. Regardless, she sold him anyway. The curse struck her instantly. Thieves slit her throat in the street. The price for discarding Grenouille. Grenouille's life was brutal. A sweatshop is an understatement. Workers there rarely survived 5 years, but Grenouille was resilient, like a germ, adapting instantly to any environment. Working 16 hours a day, his 13-year-old body endured. What kept him going? The hope that one day he could see the outside world and experience new scents. After 10 years of suffering, the owner finally gave him a chance. A trip to the city to deliver goods. This trip opened a Pandora's box. The moment they entered the city, Grenouille was overwhelmed by scents. He didn't care if they were good or bad. He inhaled greedily, trying to possess every odor in existence. While the owner did business inside, a specific aroma caught him. A fragrance he had never known. He followed the scent to a perfume shop window. His first encounter with perfume. Medieval Europe was a sewer. The stench was everywhere, since no one liked to bathe. Perfume was invented to mask body odor. Talk about hating water. It's like Germans, making the world's best knives, but refusing to make soft bread. Perfume, back then, was a luxury for the elite. Especially Amr and Psyche, a tiny dab on the wrist. And the scent filled the air. Honestly, it was just too strong. Grenouille saw right through it. He looked at this top perfume with total disdain. This meeting with fragrance awakened the demon within him. Just then, he caught a scent, even better than any perfume. He tracked it into a dark alleyway. The source was just a girl selling plums, but he lost her for a moment. Then, his nose worked its magic, tracking her through the faint trail. He relocated her instantly. In this stench-filled world, a simple girl radiated such a scent, unnoticeable to any normal person. Grenouille stalked her, inhaling her natural fragrance. When she spotted him, she was startled. But seeing his blank, vacant stare, she assumed he just wanted fruit. Instead, he grabbed her hand and sniffed, sent her running in pure terror. But Grenouille is still intoxicated by her scent. A creepy smile creeps across his face. Then, he hunts the aroma once more. Quickly, his nose leads him straight back to the girl. She has no idea that doom is standing right behind her while she works in silence. Grenouille looms in the shadows, inhaling her essence with pure ecstasy. Finally, she senses something is wrong. She turns to find Grenouille again. As she prepares to scream in terror, he muffles her cries with his bare hands. A passerby happens to walk near, so he drags her into a dark corner. He only lets go once the footsteps fade. But the girl is no longer moving. He has accidentally suffocated her to death. Strangely, he feels neither fear nor guilt. Looking at her lifeless beauty, a twisted obsession takes root. He rips the clothes from her body, not for lust, but to sniff every inch of her skin, from her head down to her toes. He consumes her scent entirely, but then, panic sets in. Her fragrance is slowly fading away. He tries to grasp the vanishing air, but it's a hopeless struggle. Within minutes, her essence is gone forever. This triggers his ultimate evil desire, to find a way to harvest the scent of maidens. That night, he pays the price, because he wandered too far chasing the scent. His master thinks he tried to escape, and delivers a brutal beating. Grenouille doesn't sleep a wink, not because of the pain, but because he is relishing her memory. He has found his purpose in life, to learn how to preserve human fragrance. But as a mere slave, he must first find a way out. Fate works in mysterious ways. His only hope lies with the master perfumer. Old Baldini has been at it for 30 years, but his talent has completely dried up. With Amr and Psyche dominating the market, his shop has become a ghost town. Even his assistant bought a bottle, just for Baldini to analyze. The assistant wants him to copy it, to lure back the angry customers. Baldini scoffs in fake arrogance, claiming he will create something better, something far superior. He locks himself in his lab. But behind closed doors, he pulls out the Amr and Psyche. He's been secretly trying to crack the formula, too proud to ever admit it. A master clinging to his dying ego. But no matter how many times he tries, the exact recipe remains a mystery. Until that very night, fate brings him and Grenouille together. Grenouille arrives to deliver goat hides, and realizes the man is a perfumer. This is his golden opportunity. He asks if the leather is for scenting, specifically for Amr and Psyche. Exposed, Baldini gets defensive, lying that he doesn't care for such trash. But Grenouille says he can smell it. Baldini is literally drenched in the scent. He then declares the perfume is bad, too much bergamot and patchouli. Baldini is stunned. Then, Grenouille lists every hidden ingredient. Things even Baldini couldn't identify. But Grenouille's next claim infuriates the old man. He says he can smell every scent in the world. This simple sentence feels like a slap to Baldini's face. He condescendingly tells the boy, perfumery requires math, formulas, sensitive and ratios. He then challenges Grenouille. Since you think you're so smart, can you give me the exact formula? Grenouille falls silent. Baldini smirks in triumph. After scolding him, he turns to leave, but Grenouille speaks up. I don't know formulas, but I can make it for you right now. Baldini is dismissive. He wants to watch the boy fail, so he gives him permission to proceed, but he quickly loses his patience. Grenouille doesn't measure anything. He just dumps everything together, like a reckless amateur. Finally, when Grenouille shakes the bottle, Baldini explodes in rage. You never shake a perfume. He calls the boy a complete fraud, but Grenouille remains calm. He hands over the bottle. It's finished. Amr and Psyche Skeptical, Baldini tries a drop. He waves the handkerchief in the air. The scent is identical. It is perfectly replicated. He sinks into his chair, his heart filled with mixed emotions. Years of study and struggle mean nothing compared to raw talent. But Grenouille isn't done. This isn't even a good perfume. I can make it better. He begins, crafting his own improved version. Again, no measurements. Guided only by his eye and instinct. This time, Baldini doesn't stop him. But when Grenouille offers the new blend, Baldini simply walks away, claiming he has no interest, and orders the boy out. Dejected, Grenouille leaves, quietly putting down the bottle. Before he disappears, he asks, "Can I work for you? I want to learn how to capture scents." Baldini doesn't promise anything. "I'll consider it." The moment the boy is gone, he grabs the improved perfume. With one single sniff, he is transported to paradise. Birds, flowers, everything he ever dreamed of. The next morning, Baldini offers 10 times the price to buy Grenouille's freedom. The greedy tannery owner accepts the deal instantly. Grenouille smiles a dark smile. They have no idea they've unleashed a demon. The curse strikes that very night. The drunken owner falls into the river and sinks to his watery grave. Life at the perfume shop is a dream compared to the tannery. Baldini is the biggest winner. With Grenouille, his business reaches legendary heights. Every scent Grenouille crafts captivates the entire nobility. He amasses a fortune overnight. In return, he teaches the boy theory. Perfume is like music, he says. 3 chords, each with four essences, 12 notes in total. Head, heart, and bass notes. The head is the first impression, fading in minutes. The heart is the theme, lasting for hours. And the bass is the soul, lingering for days. 12 cents for a top-tier perfume. But legend speaks of a 13th. The final essence. The one that balances the others perfectly. Unite all 13. And a single drop will conquer the world, creating a paradise for all who smell it. But alas, no one has ever found it. It remains a mere myth. This story convinces Grenouille that he is the chosen one, and he begins his path as a killer. And thus, he embarks on the path of the next day during his afternoon nap. He remembers how the girl once suffocated to death. Upon waking, he immediately seizes his master's hand, begging Baldini to teach him how to preserve a fragrance. In return, he promises to create countless new perfumes for him. The master smiles and readily agrees. The next day, Baldini buys tens of thousands of roses. He brings out a large copper still, after filling it with the petals. He seals the lid and begins the distillation. Now, they must wait. To extract a tiny vial of rose essence, they wait an entire day. Only after nightfall do a few precious drops finally emerge. But the following day, Grenouille finds an old iron chain by the river and tries to distill it in the pot. He actually wants to capture the scent of metal. Soon, the master is woken by a loud racket. He finds the laboratory in utter shambles. When asked what on earth he is doing, Grenouille accuses Baldini of lying because distillation failed to extract the iron scent. Baldini explains that metal has no scent to extract, but Grenouille refuses to believe it. He can smell everything in existence, yet he has no way to preserve those smells. Frustrated by the boy's obsession, Baldini berates him for his lack of common sense. Surveying the wreckage on the floor, he asks what else Grenouille tried to distill. Baldini rushes over to the still, and what he finds inside breaks him. It is his own cat. The master finally snaps. "What kind of a human being are you? Don't you know anything? You can no more distill the scent of a cat than you can distill the scent of me." "You can't?" "Of course not." Devastated by the news, Grenouille falls gravely ill. His body breaks out in pustules. He is at death's door. Baldini summons every doctor in the city, but none can cure him. Grenouille is his golden goose. Without his talent, the shop will be ruined forever. In his delirium, Grenouille dreams of the girl once more. He cannot die yet. His mission isn't over. He must find a way to harvest human scent. With his fading breath, he asks his master, "Is there any other way besides distillation?" Baldini mentions a method called enfleurage, but admits he doesn't know how to do it. It can only be learned in the town of Grasse. Miraculously, Grenouille recovers within a week of hearing this. To study in Grasse, he needs a master's certificate. Baldini agrees to sign it. In exchange for the certificate, Grenouille gives him 100 new perfume formulas. Grenouille cares nothing for these recipes. He would have given 10,000. Just like that, Grenouille departs. Baldini clutches his notebook of formulas, believing he is set for life. Fame and fortune are finally his, but he never gets to enjoy them. He goes to sleep and never wakes up. Grenouille's curse strikes again. Everyone who possesses him and lets him go pays with their life. Meanwhile, Grenouille is like a bird freed from a cage, relishing the pure air of nature. He eventually reaches a crossroads. Both paths lead to his destination, one through bustling villages, the other over the high mountains. He chooses the mountains. His nose guides him higher, away from humanity, toward the most pristine sense of the earth. He meditates in a cave for over a month, until one day he makes a discovery. He can smell everything around him: sand, stone, and moss. But there is one scent he cannot find: his own. At first, he thinks he is simply too dirty, but after washing clean in the rain, there is still nothing. He realizes he possesses no odor at all. For the first time, he feels true terror. He fears that without a scent, he will be forgotten. This fuels his resolve. He must find the 13th fragrance, to create the greatest perfume ever known, to make the world remember his name. He sets off for his destination once more. 2 weeks later, he reaches the outskirts of Grasse, but he suddenly stops in his tracks. He catches an extraordinary aroma. It is almost identical to the girl from Paris. It is the scent of another maiden. As a carriage approaches, he hides behind a tree, catching a glimpse of her stunning beauty. The scent intoxicates him. He follows the carriage into the city. With his certificate, he enters without issue. Tracking the lingering fragrance, he finds her home. She is clearly of noble birth. Grenouille watches until nightfall. She has become his ultimate target. The next day, he begins his new apprenticeship, learning the art of enfleurage. To test the method on human skin, he first stalks a beautiful young woman, but her boyfriend's presence keeps him at bay. Fate, however, seems to favor the monster. A joke goes too far, and the boyfriend leaves in a huff, taking the ladder with him. The girl is trapped on the balcony. She calls out to him desperately. The ladder finally rises, but it isn't her boyfriend at the top. It is Grenouille. Later, she is stripped and placed in an oil vat. He is testing if enfleurage can capture her essence. Suddenly, he smells someone approaching. He covers the vat immediately and goes out to intercept them. It is only a flower delivery worker, but the woman insists on entering the room. She wants to see the vats. Grenouille prepares to kill her. Luckily, the owners appear, stopping the woman in time, but the covered vat catches the mistress's eye. Grenouille lies, saying it's an experiment. He claims it must be shielded from the light. The mistress is satisfied, but the master is suspicious. He doesn't like Grenouille. He comes over to inspect the oil. Fortunately, he doesn't lift the cloth. He only sniffs the extract. It has no scent. Grenouille sniffs it too. The experiment was a failure. The master leaves, unimpressed, but Grenouille does not give up. That night, he targets a prostitute on the street. He only wants to test his new method. He doesn't intend to kill her initially, but she is terrified by his bizarre behavior. She tries to flee. To save his time, he kills her without hesitation. Through careful extraction, he finally succeeds in capturing her essence. The next day, her body is found. People assume it's just another murder. Grenouille watches from the shadows. He places a drop of the essence on his hand. Something miraculous happens. A small dog, smelling its owner, runs to him and licks his hand frantically. The method works. He prepares 13 empty vials. He will choose 13 of the most beautiful virgins to be distilled into the ultimate fragrance, the 13-note masterpiece. While at the noble estate, Count Antoine celebrates his daughter's birthday. They have no idea that danger is quietly closing. Even worse, they run into the garden maze to play a game of hide and seek. Their decision to separate gives Grenouille the perfect opportunity, but he doesn't strike the main target just yet. He wants to save the best for last. Instead, he captures a pair of twins, while Count Antoine leads the search for them. Grenouille has already wrapped the sisters like mummies, extracting 2 more vials of essence. But at that moment, he smells his master's approaching rage. He accidentally spills a drop on his hand. To avoid being caught, he quickly hides his equipment. But then, something miraculous happens. The master, who was about to explode in anger, smells that single drop of scent. He instantly becomes calm. His voice turns incredibly gentle. Such is the power of the essence. The next morning, townspeople find naked bodies floating in the river. From that point on, Grenouille becomes unstoppable. He continues to kill innocent girls for their scent. In just a few days, more bodies are discovered inside and outside the city. Panic quickly spreads among the people. For safety, a strict curfew is imposed at sunset. No one is allowed to leave their homes. But even this is useless. Grenouille breaks into their very houses, armed with his supernatural sense of smell. Whether it's prey trying to flee, or soldiers trying to catch him, Grenouille tracks them all with ease. The targets cannot escape. The pursuers cannot find him. His nose is a precision GPS. Everyone is powerless against him, and his collection is more than half complete. Count Antoine steps forward. He insists on thinking like the killer. Since all the victims are female, and all are beautiful virgins, but strangely, though they are stripped bare, there is no sign of sexual assault. He concludes the killer isn't after lust or money, but is collecting something, like a deranged collector. Until the collection is complete, the tragedy will strike again. Yet they have no leads. They can only tell residents to bolt their windows and increase soldier patrols. Guns are even distributed for self-defense. But the plan backfires. The killer remains at large, while paranoid citizens shoot at each other, leading to many innocent deaths. Grenouille even kills within the church. Not even God can stop him now. The priests are terrified, praying for mercy. Grenouille has gathered 12 vials. He brings them all together. Only one final note remains, and the candidate for this finale is none other than the Count's daughter, Laura. She is the most noble and beautiful girl in Grasse. The helpless townspeople hide in the cathedral, listening to the bishop, hoping for divine punishment for the murderer. Just then, a messenger arrives with urgent news, claiming the killer has been caught. In reality, it's just a petty thief forced into a confession, but the crowd chooses to believe it. Thinking their prayers were answered, they celebrate the capture. Only Count Antoine senses something is wrong. It couldn't be this easy. If the target is true beauty, how could his daughter not be the ultimate prize? Upon investigation, he confirms the man is a scapegoat. Just a poor soul tortured into confessing. But the authorities don't care. They only want someone to blame. To calm the public. The identity of the true killer doesn't matter to them. Sure enough, while everyone is dancing around the bonfire, including Laura, she thinks the danger has passed, unaware that Grenouille is watching her from the dark. His eyes are like those of a starving wolf. Luckily, Antoine arrives and pulls his daughter away. Laura complains that he is ruining her fun. Believing the killer is behind bars, in their heated argument, the anxious father slaps her. Spoiled and hurt, Laura has never faced such anger. She turns and runs away, providing Grenouille with his chance. Frustratingly, she vents her spite by walking into a dark alley, where Grenouille is waiting like a spider. They are only steps apart. Grenouille draws his heavy tool, but Antoine catches up just in time. Hearing her father's call, the frightened girl runs back into his arms. Grenouille misses his mark, but this is only the beginning. The Count realizes the threat is still very real. He wants her to marry the Marquis' son, for the protection of an army. He knows she doesn't love the man, but she is his only child, his whole world. If anything happens to her, his life is over. However, he doesn't know. Grenouille has already infiltrated their home. In the dead of night, he stands right by her bed. Antoine suddenly wakes with a start. Was it all just a dream? Dream or not, he frantically rushes to her room. Seeing her safe under the covers, he finally exhales. Then he notices the balcony window is wide open. He had closed it personally. Laura says she didn't open it. It wasn't a dream. A second later, and his daughter would have been lost. The next morning, he sends a rider to the Marquis, demanding the wedding be prepared at once. He sets off with a full escort to take her there. Meanwhile, Grenouille realizes the trail is changing. Her scent is slowly moving away. She has left the city. His sense of smell is truly terrifying. The Count disguises Laura as a boy, as a decoy, splitting his forces to confuse the killer. But he cannot imagine. Grenouille doesn't hunt with his eyes, but with his powerful nose. Grenouille asks the gate guards which way the Count went. They tell him the main road. It seems like a stupid mistake, but it was the Count's clever ruse, sending the carriage along the main road to deceive anyone watching. Unfortunately, his brilliance met Grenouille. He smells her scent on the side path and follows it without a second thought. The guards shout after him in vain, unable to trick him onto the main road. Just as he leaves, his master, back at the shop, finds something worse yet. The dog digs up the victim's belongings. The master realizes the truth. The monster was right beside him all along. Now, Grenouille reaches the mountaintop, closing his eyes to focus. No scent in the world can escape him. Like pulling a single thread from a tapestry, he isolates her trail among thousands. Her fate is sealed. Due to the long journey, the pair must stay at a roadside inn. The Count arrogantly buys out the whole place, refusing any other travelers. With all that money, why not hire an army? Surely that would be safer. But Antoine has his own plans. He checks the window in Laura's room. Seeing the sheer cliff outside, he finally feels secure. He takes the room next door. Meanwhile, the factory was raided. All the victims' clothes were found. Grenouille's identity is finally exposed. He must finish his work tonight, chasing them on foot. He didn't reach the inn until midnight. The girl was already fast asleep. Grenouille sneaked inside. Since he has no scent of his own, even the guard dogs didn't notice him. He quickly located the girl's room and stole the key from the count's bedside. But as he prepared to strike, the girl suddenly turned over and opened her eyes. They stared at each other in silence. The scene cuts to the next morning. What happened remains a mystery, but when the count opened the door, he found his daughter dead, stripped and shorn, just like the others. The count was devastated. Meanwhile, Grenouille set up his tools nearby and extracted the final 13th essence. Then, he carefully mixed it with the others. He actually succeeded. He created the legendary perfume. Just then, soldiers surrounded him. But it was too late. Grenouille now possessed the power of a god. Taking them down would be easy. Instead, he didn't fight. He smiled and surrendered. It wasn't time yet. The crowd was too small for his ultimate performance. Under interrogation, the count asked him, "Why did you kill my daughter?" Grenouille replied, "It was his destiny. It was his fate. To become a god worshipped by all." On the day of execution, thousands packed the square. Some even climbed onto rooftops to witness his death. In his cell, Grenouille remained calm. Hearing the cheers, he knew the audience was ready. He took out his perfume. As the guards came for him, he simply uncapped the bottle. Everyone froze instantly, as if under a spell. When he arrived at the scaffold, his prison cart had become a luxury carriage. He wore fine clothes. He applied just one drop of perfume. As he stepped down, the crowd fell to their knees in surrender. He walked up to the executioner, who also knelt before him. "He's innocent. He's innocent." With everyone in a daze, Grenouille took his handkerchief, dabbed it with the perfume, and waved it through the air. Instantly, they felt they were in heaven. Even the priest was captivated. "An angel, this is not a man. This is an angel." Thousands began to worship him. They obeyed his every move. Grenouille was like God himself. People wept with emotion. Under the sense power, everyone sat on the ground. It awakened their inner love. They began to embrace one another. A massive orgy broke out in the square. It's too much to show here. Go watch the original movie for that. But Grenouille felt awkward. He had no such worldly desires. Suddenly, a basket of plums triggered a memory. He thought of his first victim again, perhaps affected by his own perfume. Grenouille began to feel human emotion. He loved that first girl. Remembering how he killed her, he was overcome with grief. From a cold machine, he became a real person. Then, he shed his very first hair. Grenouille left the city. When the crowd woke up, they were ashamed of their behavior. They forgot all about Grenouille. The factory owner became the scapegoat. He was executed for the murders, as the evidence was found at his place. The case was closed. Grenouille headed back home. With this perfume, he could make even a king bow. In short, he was as powerful as a god. He could make believers follow him instead. But one thing was impossible: being loved for who he truly is. On June 25, 1766, he returned to his birthplace, the filthy fish market. He looked like a lost soul. He never forgot that first girl. It was her scent that opened a new world to him. He used to believe that creating the ultimate perfume would give his life meaning. But fate gave him a unique talent. While stripping away his humanity, the girl was just a stepping stone. After achieving his goal, he realized even the world's best perfume couldn't bring back that night. Seeing through it all, Grenouille poured the whole bottle over himself. He shone with a golden, angelic light. People were immediately drawn to him. Then, they rushed him. Consumed by a frenzied hunger, Grenouille did not resist at all. He let them devour him alive. When they dispersed, only scraps of his clothes remained. Over time, the town returned to normal. People completely forgot him. He vanished from their hearts, just like the last drop of perfume. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more chilling movie recaps. See you in the next video.